course you would. All right. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Rob Cagnetta, and this is a meeting of the South Kingstown, Rhode Island Zoning Board of Review. Members present tonight are Mr. Thomas Daniels, Mr. Rosen, Arlene Hicks, Jeff Illia, and Brian DuPont. Also present are Amy Goins, South Kingstown Special Legal Counsel, Jamie Gorman, South Kingstown Building and Zoning Official, and Jessica Spence, the Administrative Support Associate. The board is made up of 8 people, with 5 of us regular voting members. A minimum of 4 must be present to vote. In the event that a regular member is absent or recused, an alternate will step in. No more than 5 members are entitled to vote. At least 3 voting members are needed to grant the requested relief. Voting tonight are myself, Mr. Daniels, Mr. Rosen, Ms. Hicks, and Mr. Pellissier, or Mr. Illia, sorry. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Applicants are here for either a dimensional or use variance or a special use permit. The board is made up of a quasi-judicial body created by the South Kingstown Ordinance pursuant of state statutes. We don't follow strict rules of evidence, and we operate in what we believe to be in a fair and equitable manner. We try to let everyone speak, unless you get a little carried away or it's deemed not to be relevant. So for the interest of time, please be brief and on point. We do our best not to argue and keep things civil. We try to start the last petition by 10 o'clock. After we introduce your petition, please step up to the microphone, the podium there, adjust it as necessary. Clearly state and spell your name for the record. You will then be asked to take an oath to tell the truth. After that, you can present your petition with any witnesses to testify in support of the application. The board will then ask you or your witnesses questions. After the petitioner has presented their testimony, anyone with questions in support of or opposition to the petition can step up to the microphone. You will identify yourself, be sworn in, and present your testimony with follow-up questions from the board. Please don't direct any questions or comments to the petitioner or any other witnesses. Direct the questions to the board, and we'll ask the petitioner or any witnesses to comment after you're done. So after hearing all the testimony, the board members will discuss the application and the evidence presented. We'll be asking a lot of questions, and there's a good reason. We cannot just grant anything we choose. There are rules to follow per the South Kingstown Ordinance. So you must give testimony in support of certain facts to allow the request to be approved. So tonight we do have dimensional variances and special use permits on the agenda. So just be aware, for dimensional variances, you must present evidence that your hardship is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or the structure, but it is not due to the general characteristics of the surrounding area. That your hardship is not the result of any prior action on your part. That granting the variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area. And that your hardship by the denial of the variance will amount to more than a mere inconvenience. This means that the relief sought is minimal to reasonably enjoy the permitted use of the property it's proposed for. For a special use permit, you must present evidence that the request is specifically authorized by the zoning ordinance. So somewhere in the zoning ordinance, it has to be authorized, or we do not have the power to grant it. The request meets all of the criteria in the zoning ordinance that authorizes such special use. And again, we'll ask a lot of questions about that. And that the request will not alter the general characteristic of the surrounding area, nor will it impair the purpose or the intent of the zoning ordinance. And we'll help everybody out as you come up. Don't be scared. We'll sort of do our best to sort of ask questions that help you get to the point you're looking to get to. Is there anything that we need to cover first before I spin this on its head? Okay. So we're going to switch things around tonight a little bit for the sake of some of these are going to take some time. So the petition of 4060 Tower Hill Road will be last, not second. And then the McCaffrey will be second to last. So the goal is to kind of get that started, the McCaffrey by 7:45, which the McCaffrey is Willard Ave. So these other ones, we should be done by these other ones by 7:45. So I apologize for messing anybody up, but for the sake of expediency and helping those get out of here that have much simpler application. Is that okay?
Just so we're clear, McCaffrey will be the second petition heard, not second to last?
Is that what you want to do? To do that second?
Yeah, so I think the order is going to be first Commodore Manners withdrawn.
Yep.
Then it'll be Burke, the one-year extension. Then it'll be John Connor, Middlebridge Road. Then it'll be McCaffrey, which is 350 Willard.
Yep.
And then it'll be
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep.
the other two.
You're correct. Yes. My Roman numerals are, I'm not reading them right. So, yes. All right. But you'll see what I mean by when we call everybody up. So I'm going to read the petition in. After I read the petition in, come up to the microphone, make sure it's shining red like that, and by turning on the person button. And then we'll speak and spell your name, and then we'll swear you in. So, first we have the petition of Brian Burke of 44 Liberty Street in Wakefield, Rhode Island, 02879. The applicant is seeking a one-year extension of a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance, section 910A. It's a one-year time limit and one-year extensions. The applicant was originally granted a dimensional variance on June 21st, 2023 to construct a second-story dormer and first-story deck on the front of an existing dwelling. The deck will be located 12 feet from the property line and 3 feet from the side property line. Requested yard setback is 25 feet, and the required side yard setback is 10 feet. Therefore, 13 feet and 7 feet is requested. Lot size is 0.2 acres, and dimensional variance was required per the zoning ordinance, section 207. Non-conforming lots of record, building setback requirements in section 907 are standards of relief. The dimensional variance has a one-year expiration date from the original recorded date of June 27, 2023 in the South Kingstown Land Evidence Book 1859, pages 146 and 147. Owners of the property are Brian S. and Kelly L. Burke for premises located at 44 Liberty Street, South Kingstown. Assessors map 56-2, lot 104, and zoned R10. For this application, we have the letter requesting a one-year extension from Brian Burke received June 25th of this year. South Kingstown Zoning Board of Review decision granted on June 21st, 2023, and it was recorded in the land evidence on June 27th and 2023, book 1859 and pages 146 and 147. Are the Burkes here? Anyone? No. Okay. So they are writing and request an extension of the dimensional variance that was granted for the property located at 44 Liberty Street. The delay moving forward was due to our growing family. We had a second child and have not had the time to finalize building plans and find a contractor. So they said that we can contact them if we have any questions. So, does anybody have any thoughts on this or any concerns?
Just need some clarification on the date. 1 year to when?
The decision was recorded last year, June 27th, 2023. So
Right.
that's when the one-year time clock starts ticking. The
Right.
expiration was June 27th this year, and the request was received June 25th. So it was a valid request made before the original grant expired.
So the date goes to 2025 for a 1 year extension, is that
From
correct?
yeah, so the board originally granted relief in '23, so they get 1 year. This first extension extends that time frame to start construction to June 27th, 2025.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, if there's no questions, I'll move the extension.
Please. So moved. Is there any second? Second by Mr. Rosen. Any opposition? Or any other discussion, rather? Excuse me. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No? Okay, good. So that passed. Okay, so now we're going to do the Commodore Manor LLC. Do I have to read that all the way in?
You can just mention the address and explain that the petition was withdrawn and ask if there's anyone here.
So the petition, Commodore Manor LLC, was for the premises located at 2625B Commodore Oliver Hazard Perry Highway of South Kingstown, and they were looking for more than 3 unrelated folks. That petition has been withdrawn as of July 9th of 2024. And should we explain why it's been withdrawn? Or is there anyone out there for this petition?
Well, just for the benefit of the board, and this came up at the council meeting last week, new state law has changed the definition of what a household is and how cities and towns can regulate how many unrelated people can live together. So the short version of it, because I don't want to delay the meeting, the short version of it is 5 unrelated people are now allowed to live together in a single household by right if the house has 5 bedrooms. So there's a longer version of that, and perhaps we can discuss next month if there's time on the agenda to follow up on the memo that was circulated. But that's the short version of the story. I think it was withdrawn because I think the property owner intends to abide by that limit.
Okay, fantastic. Do we need to vote on it? No. Okay, excellent. Okay, so next we have the petition of John Connor of 720 Middlebridge Road, Wakefield, Rhode Island, 02879, for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct a detached accessory apartment measuring 27 feet in height. The maximum height permitted in an accessory building is 15 feet, therefore 12-foot request of relief is requested. Lot size is 1.83 acres. A dimensional variance is required to PERS the zoning ordinance, section 401, schedule of dimensional regulations, and section 907 are standards of relief. Owners of the property are Richard Connor and Raylene Worthington for premises located at 720 Middlebridge Road, South Kingstown, assessors map 35-1, lot 9, and is zoned R20. And for this, we have the application with the cover letter signed and dated June 13th, 2024. Owner authorization form signed and notarized June 13th, 2024. Wetlands report prepared by Edward Avizinus, CPSS, PWS, and dated February 19th, 2023. Proposed construction plan prepared by James T. Calderon, PLS stamped and dated May 16th, 2024. Residential new construction plans. There's a cover, G1, A1, A11, A12, A13, A2, and A3, prepared by Colwell Group and stamped by Dennis Caldwell, AIA, and dated April 26th of this year, with revisions on June 13th, 2024. There's also a 200-foot abutters list and a radius map, legal notices, and a notarized affidavit of mailing. Good evening. Hi, how you doing? So, no, it's okay. Get your laps. I know, sorry, I'm trying to get you guys because it seems a lot more straightforward. No, it's okay. So what you're looking to do is basically construct an accessory apartment, right? Oh, yeah, introduce yourself, please.
That on? Oh, great. So Jack McGreen for the applicant. The applicant is John Connor and Raylene Worthington. The property is identified as lot 35-1 and assesses. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna stand back so it doesn't. Does it?
The feedback is if any more than one of us has it on at the same time. It's good technology.
Okay. So it's Assessors Plat 35-1, Lot 9, and is located at 720 Middlebridge Road. Lot's located in R20 zone. You may have said this, I apologize, I was outside. The lot area is 79,680 square feet, it's just under 2 acres. Applicant seeking to construct a detached accessory two-car garage and apartment measuring 27 feet in height. The height limit for an accessory dwelling unit in an R20 zone is 15 feet, and therefore the applicant is seeking relief of 12 feet and in order to accommodate a garage below the ADU. As a side note, the height limit for a 30, 40, and 80 is 20 feet, and this property is almost in an R80 zone. R80, it's just under 2 acres. So if it wasn't an R80, they would only need, 7 feet of relief. The first floor has 2 car stalls, and the second floor will be a wood 1-bedroom with a bathroom, office, kitchen, living room area. The ADU meets all of the old requirements of no larger than 750 square feet, but as I recall, the ordinance was just amended and would permit us up to 950 square feet, but we're sticking with the 750.
And tell me, why is the design as it is? Is it merely just for headroom within it?
Right, well, we wouldn't be able to put a garage. The whole purpose was to be able to put, their garages, their cars are outside, and to get that garage in there. And also aesthetically, and to match this might be a good time to give you the pictures. I don't think I sent these. Here's a picture off the downloaded off Google. You'll see. Yeah, those pictures, you'll see the main house, so that you can see the elevation difference. I looked at the elevation plans, and that house is actually about 12 and a half feet higher than where we intend to locate that house, which is down more towards that area right there. So it drops down considerably. Based on the elevation difference, the garage will visually be in an appropriate proportion to the height of the home. The request certainly would be probably unreasonable in other lots along Narrow River. I've been before the board on a couple other projects up the street where it's a 5,000, 6,000 square foot lot, pretty tight. You can see that there's nothing to the left and to the right. A lot of it's wet, and that really forced the location of this garage. That wetlands buffer, I'm not sure if you can bring that up, but that's really, we got it outside the wetlands buffer, and so we had to actually push the garage forward and the ADU forward. We couldn't put it behind the house just because of the wetlands buffer. I think that, this lot can easily accommodate the garage and would fit in nicely with the surrounding area. Let's see what else I have. So that's it for now. I do have my client here if you wanted to ask her any specific questions concerning the design. But really what forced the height is because they wanted, in combination with the ADU, they wanted a two-car garage to store their cars rather than leaving them on site in front of the house. And I think it would be more attractive having them in a garage, quite frankly, than in the open space.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to, board members, any questions of the legal?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just clarify, behind the stone wall, on the house side of the stone wall?
Yes, see where the white car is?
Yes.
Right around there. That's where it's going to be.
Okay.
Yeah, and they own even that shed way over there.
All right, I
They
see.
own
I
past
see.
that, and you go to the left. I can bring Raylene up just to clarify. So they have this picture in front of them. if you're looking at the house, is your property line, see where the shed is on the right?
It actually goes even farther to the road.
I swear.
Hi, Raylene Worthington, Raylene Worthington. Yes.
And so I just wanted you to, let the board know the property line to the right, and then if you could describe the property line to the left as well.
So the property line to the right actually extends beyond that little shed. The exact amount, probably 1/8 of an acre, at least. And then the left, if you look to the left of the house, it goes off probably about 100 feet until there's another stone wall on the left looking at the house.
Would that be your property line, the stone wall?
Yes, on the left. Now, on the right would be, there's a driveway that goes up.
Now, was there any possibility of pushing the garage and the accessory dwelling unit into the back of the house?
No, because of the way the wetlands come down. It'd be very, very difficult to position this was very, very strategically placed based on the wetlands.
Yeah, I pretty much drove the location of the garage based on, you see the delineation right there.
Septic, are you tying this structure into the existing septic system?
Into the sewers.
It's sewer, okay.
Where the shed is, beyond the shed, is there wetlands over there too?
If you blow that out to sea, it's all wet, right? I think that shed is in the wetlands. It's wet over there. And ever since they did Route 1 over, they never got the river that they used to get. Now, when there's a heavy rain, that water comes right down the hill, comes down their driveway, crosses their property. Sometimes it even blows out the stone wall and floods the house across the street.
Okay, yeah. No, I was out there and I noticed that there was all that land off to the right. And I just wondered why you didn't put the ADU out there. And if it's wetlands, you can't put it out there, obviously, so. Thank you.
Any other questions, board members? Okay. Jamie, I just have or Ms. Goins, I mean, this is going to kind of come up because, we're encouraging more accessory dwellings within, outbuildings, essentially. Is there any desire, is there any discussion of changing sort of the height limitations on some of these structures?
So, I don't want to detour us too much from this application, but state law that was just enacted a few weeks ago supersedes some of the regulations we have on the books on accessory apartments. And one of the provisions of the new law that is currently in effect says that we will need to update our ordinance, by the way. That's in process. The town can't regulate the accessory structures with accessory dwelling units differently than regular accessory structures that don't have dwelling units in them. So I think and I verified this, the height limitation, which is what they're asking, the only thing they're asking for relief from for an accessory apartment that's in our ordinance now is the same as for any accessory structure.
Got it.
So does that answer the question?
Yeah, so there's not going to be distinguishment between if it's used as a dwelling versus it being a garage?
Yeah,
basically.
and I think in general, this applicant is coming to the board saying this is going to be an accessory dwelling unit going forward. And I can educate the board maybe next month in general about what the rules are for accessory dwelling units now under the new state law. If this were proposed as just a garage, I would say to the board, just be advised, it could someday be an accessory dwelling unit. So I guess that the only thing for the board to know is that state law has now really expanded where accessory dwelling units can be constructed by right. You will still see applications like this one that require some relief, whether it's setback or height.
Right. Okay. Okay, sorry for that. But I think it's just really understanding, because it's about, limiting the height that you're asking for in the sense of what's reasonable, right? And there were times that we would talk about it in terms of the pitch of the roof, and if the pitch of the roof is matching the house itself, then it sort of is justified to say, well, I want to have my pitch, sort of my garage match my house. But also knowing that this is an accessory dwelling, you want to make sure you have headroom throughout the whole space. So and with this footprint, unless you're going to bring your walls up more to lower your pitch, which changes the whole design. So I just wasn't sure how much I wanted to get into sort of the justification of how much this compares, like how well this compares to your main dwelling.
Yeah, well, I think my most important point is that, the height limit for an R20 is 15, but the height limit for anything above that is 20. So, and unlike all the other lots on Narrow River, this is probably one of the largest lots because it's almost 2 acres. All the other lots as you go up towards Boston Neck Road, I mean, if you recall, Davitt built one, I was in here, and it was like a 5,000 square foot lot, and all those are small lots. So while this isn't an R20, it's actually an R80 lot. And so the height limitation in R80 is 20, and so the ask would be, if we were in an R80, would be, 7 feet rather than the 15 feet that we're asking for. But that being said, the applicant is looking to use that space, not just for the accessory dwelling unit, but also for the garage. And, I would say, given the, the size of the applicant's family, that the hardship that would be suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, would amount to more than a mere inconvenience. And the relief sought, I know, and they did take that portion of the statute out, the least relief necessary, so we no longer have to meet that standard. And in my opinion, the relief sought is, minimal to a reasonable enjoyment of the permitted use to which the property is devoted. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Board members, any other questions? No. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is there anyone out there that wants to speak on behalf of this, for or against? So, come on up. Again, just state your name and spell it for us.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Ellen Rogers, R-O-G-E-R-S.
You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. What would you like to say?
Pardon me?
Tell us what you want to say.
Okay, I live at 754 Middlebridge Road, which abuts this property. And I have a couple of questions. If they could put the picture of the carriage house up, I'd like to see that again. Yeah, okay. Stop right at the house itself. Yeah, I'm looking at that, and these are my next-door neighbors. And you take the garage doors off of that, and as far as I'm concerned, that's a house, I don't know what they can do in the bottom of that after they get approval. They don't have to use that as a garage, for one thing. They can use it for anything they want, I guess, right?
It's an accessory dwelling?
It could be living quarters.
I'm sorry?
It could be living quarters. If they don't use it, I know a lot of people have garages, don't use it as garages.
Okay.
There is a size limitation on accessory apartments.
Okay.
Both in our ordinance and in the new law. In our ordinance, I think it's 750 square feet. In the new law, it depends how many bedrooms. So the new law, which supersedes what's on our ordinance, says we can't limit the accessory dwelling unit below 900 square feet. So that's the size that the ADU could occupy in that structure. So if the question is, could they convert the whole thing to living space, my answer would be, if they are seeking to utilize more than 900 square feet for the dwelling unit itself, they would need to seek relief and permission from the board,
Okay, and we can ask,
if it's a one-bedroom.
I'm not sure how many square feet of,
The structure supposedly is 30 by 28, which would be 860 square feet. My
Right.
house is 960 square feet, it's a ranch,
So-
and it's got 3 bedrooms.
yep, so basically, they're were just about the size of what they're permitted to have for an
Right.
accessory dwelling.
Right.
So it becomes a violation of the building code if they start occupying that ground floor,
Who enforces it,
building inspector.
and how would they be aware of it?
Someone from the public would let them know.
Okay, all right, I have just a couple more questions.
Sure.
I'm not being antagonistic.
No, you're fine.
I'm not
Go ahead.
gonna- But I have a water problem,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to know exactly where this is going to be situated on the lot.
Yep.
Will those garage doors be facing Middlebridge, or will they be facing my property? Or, excuse me, facing their house on the lot? I don't know where it's going to be situated on the lot. I'm worried about water. I have
Sure.
3 pumps running from October until June, some pumps, because of a water problem coming down from that hill. And-
Come down across the north side of the,
Riverside, across from Riverside.
so you're on the north, you're on the,
I'm going, I'm.
towards the right of way on the right side?
Whoops, I'm on the, if you're looking at their house, I'm on the right-hand side.
On the right side, yep. So past that field,
Okay,
basically,
so right across from Riverside is a right-of-way to
Yep.
the 2 houses that were landlocked.
Sure.
In the back of my house, they were built after I bought my house in 1988. And my water problem has gotten, considerably worse since then. But what I'm concerned about is how that house is going to be situated on that lot.
Sure.
Will it affect the water table in any way? Will I get more water coming in? I've got water coming from the hill.
Sure.
I've got water coming from my neighbors.
yep,
And now I don't anticipate or don't want to have another water problem.
yep.
And it's important to me that that doesn't happen. I mean, I can understand what they want to do on that lot.
Sure.
I appreciate, I like the looks of it, but, if it affects me and my peace of mind, and,
Absolutely.
I replace my pumps every December for the pumping. So, that's a real problem to me.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like everything they're doing is uphill from you. It looks like everything they're doing is technically uphill from you, technically.
Okay, but I don't know, they referred to, some of the paperwork I read, they referred to marsh. See, that lot is not cleared. I don't know if they're gonna clear.
Nope, looks like that driveway is staying right where it is, and then it's gonna be yeah, and the garage is gonna be facing that driveway. And then off to the right on that, they're not touching that, because that's all wetland, so they're not allowed to touch all that.
So you're answering my question. The carriage house garage will be facing the road.
It seems it is, and they can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like that the garage, yep,
I mean, I don't care about looking at the backside of it, but I just wanna know how it's gonna be sited.
yep,
It may say it in the paperwork, but it got really, really fine print. When they printed it up, when they got to the, I can't read plans anyhow.
that's okay, you don't have to, that's why we're
Print
here,
was very, very
to kind of
fine.
give you a hint.
Let me just see if I have any other questions. Oh, yeah. Out of curiosity, when I think of carriage house, I think of Newport, obviously. I don't think of South Kingston.
Sure.
Are there any other carriage houses in South Kingston?
Well, it's a detached garage. I mean, it's basically a detached garage, referring to it as a carriage house.
Right.
And yeah, we see lots of those.
Have any of those people ever sought a height variance?
We have gotten height variances before. I mean, we've also, before this law, we used to get square foot requests to be a little bit more. So it's becoming more common, and less people are going to have to ask us now because of the law.
Yeah, what's the law saying? I didn't quite understand it.
It's basically allowing it to, you can put in an accessory dwelling, I believe, anything under 900 square feet, you don't necessarily need to come here to ask. Is that right? Am I interpreting that right?
There's also another provision in the law, so if this was an existing building and it was, or a garage in one story, 15 feet, and they were seeking to establish an ADU, they could go up vertically and not need relief.
Yep. It took effect January. So, right? No, I'm sorry, June.
This was one of the batch that passed this year, and this took effect, I want to say, June 25th, so it's in effect.
Right. So basically, yeah, it's going to allow a lot more of them to occur without folks having to come here. And just to back up a little bit, so you know that technically whenever someone builds something now, you're supposed to contain all of your water. You are not allowed to discharge any stormwater off of your property to someone else's. Yep, so that's in the rules.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
Now, the purpose of the garage, is this going to be owner occupied, or is this going to be for rent? Or
It's an accessory unit, so anyone can live upstairs, and then the downstairs is a garage.
Okay, and then no restrictions on that, and do they rent
Nope.
for how long?
Nope, not yet. There are no laws to say how long you can rent it out for, or.
Mr.
There's-
Cagnetta?
Yeah.
Excuse me, you're not allowed to do ADUs that are CO'd after the 24th as a short-term rental.
I stand corrected. So,
I'm kind of yelling.
basically, the short-term renters are not allowed? Okay.
And it's short term,
So-
what's defined?
So this is any new accessory dwelling cannot be a short-term. Any existing can be a short-term? Is that how it works?
Our office is going to be providing, our office has been requested to give a legal memo to the administration on that exact question, but at
Okay.
the very least, as Jess said, new accessory dwelling units under the law cannot be utilized for short-term rental. That's defined as, under state law, rental for less than 30 days. That's, again, state law, that's not our, and again, under state law, we can't impose a restriction on, owner-occupied or whether it's a family member. This is open to anyone to rent and occupy, just not for short-term rentals.
Just not for short-term, okay.
Yes, probably just one more question.
Sure.
It was originally my first question, how we got off track, but how large does the lot have to be before you can put a building like this on it?
I'm sorry?
How large does the lot have to, and they've got a lot of land there, they got 1.83 acres of land. Is there a minimum where you can put a building like this up?
There's different, in state law, there's different paths to getting an accessory dwelling unit legalized.
Right.
This path is, it's really, the path that they're before the zoning board under our existing ordinance, but with the caveat that we can't supersede state law. So the answer is, it's allowed by right. One accessory apartment is allowed by right on this property under our zoning ordinance, and they're not asking any relief, they don't require any relief with respect to lot area or lot coverage or size of the ADU other than the height.
I mean, essentially, they can almost triple the size of their house without any problem, but that accessory apartment has to stay that size. It cannot get bigger than that.
I'm expecting that you're going to get a lot of requests for carriage houses. I don't know, I could be wrong.
No, you're probably right.
As I said, I've addressed my problem is water.
Yep.
And you think that that's not a problem. I think it's a problem only because it's always been a problem for me.
Yeah.
It's always been a problem. And I'm assuming if it's considered marshland to the left of my property.
Yep.
If that's considered marshland, then
Yep.
it's not buildable.
No,
Right, okay.
not at this time.
Okay, I was concerned about how we're situated.
Okay. Hang on one sec. Just make sure, does anyone have any questions for Ms. Ellen? No? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Good evening.
Good evening, Stephen Sterling, 746 Middlebridge Road, STEPHEN,
Okay, and you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
So please, go ahead. What would you like to say?
So I got my nice letter from Taft and McSally Law. It sparked my interest, and so I live up the hill from the Connors and
I see, yes, to the west.
to the west.
Okay.
So we're up there, and since we bought that, purchased that property, there's been a lot of large buildings that have been built on the bottom of the hill, which is fine. It was all legal. But it always takes away one more part of our view of Narrow River. So while we weren't excited about the location of this one, I realized, and I know that just a sight line alone doesn't hold any water weight for anything. Then I was going to come up here and talk about some things that I've just learned are not there, because Section 401, she meets the standard to build that unit. But in Section 501, in the ordinance that I'm reading, it must comply with what is written under the VD doctrine, I believe it is. So they wouldn't be allowed, this board would not be allowed to give them the 15-foot, variance. But now I've learned that the state law has changed, so that means that,
Yeah, to clarify, Attorney McGreen asked my opinion just briefly before the hearing started, and in my opinion, the board can hear a request for a dimensional variance for height like this one, and I don't think that has anything to do with the new state law. I think that's just the general doctrine of if there's a requirement or setback or limitation, minimum, maximum number set forth in our zoning ordinance, when the ordinance says shall comply, that to me means unless the board grants relief by issuing a dimensional variance. In other words, I don't think we can write into the ordinance, the board can't grant relief. That's just my opinion.
Okay. So it sounds like our legal counsel is telling us that we can provide that variance for this.
well, I just wanted to express my concerns for that.
Sure.
And I
sure.
will say that Ellen does have a lot of water in her yard.
Yeah, it's a shame. Board members, any questions for this witness? No? Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to speak on behalf? Yeah, you got to come up, sorry.
Just occurred to me, how is this building taxed?
I'm sorry?
How will this building be taxed, like a garage or like a house?
Attached,
Tax purposes, how would it, it just occurred to me that, as far as I'm concerned, that's a house.
it's a freestanding building.
It's a freestanding building, so
Yeah.
it's a garage.
It's a garage.
Is a garage tax different than
Well,
a house?
Taxed, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
how is it taxed?
I can't speak
Yeah.
for the tax assessor, but my understanding is that it's taxed as an accessory apartment, so differently than a principal residence, but it's not taxed equivalent to a garage. It's taxed somewhere in between a principal dwelling and a garage. I believe we have a code in our system for an accessory dwelling unit.
Got it.
So it will increase the value of the property by more than just a garage without a legally permitted ADU.
Got it.
Thank you.
So I'm not sure. Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Nope? Okay, board members, any thoughts on this? Anyone? Okay. Someone want to make a motion for this petition?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I could, I just say,
Please.
this will require Coastal Resource Management Council review and approval, so it'd be subject to the 2-year expiration if a favorable motion is made.
Thank you. Someone want to give it a shot?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move granting the petition of John Connor, 720 Middlebridge Road, Wakefield, for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance. The applicant is seeking 12 feet of relief, height relief on an ADU, which encompasses a dwelling unit and a garage. The chairman read in the application and the documents associated with the application. We heard from Attorney McGreevy on behalf of the petitioner. We heard from Ms. Rogers, who had some concerns about water and some other questions that were, I hope, adequately answered by council and by the board members. And we heard from Mr. Sterling, who wanted some questions answered of a more legal nature, and I think our council hopefully answered those questions for you. So, this is a Section 401 Schedule of Dimensional Regulations request for a variance, and Section 907. The board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and not due to any physical or economic disability of the applicant. Because an ADU, or accessory dwelling unit, is permitted by ordinance. They are building a garage, and the garage is within the setback requirements. And they also have some limitations on wetlands. So the placement of this garage and ADU takes those factors into consideration. The ADU is an accessory dwelling unit to be located and built on top of the garage. And because it is a dwelling unit, it requires a certain amount of height to be usable. Therefore, the petitioner is asking for that relief on the height restriction. The board finds the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant, because no action has been taken on the property. They have properly applied for the necessary appeal before our board, and the necessary documentation has been filed. The board finds that the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based. Because as was presented by the attorney, the lot is effectively an R80. It's 2 acres. Although it is recorded as an R20, it's 2 acres. So there's plenty of room on this property, minus the wetland restrictions, for this garage and accessory dwelling unit to be built. So therefore, it is not incompatible with the surrounding area. The board finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than a mere inconvenience, meaning that relief sought is minimal to a reasonable enjoyment of the permitted use to which the property is supposed to be devoted. Because once again, an accessory dwelling unit is permitted. In this case, they're doing a garage and an accessory dwelling unit, the height of which is required for it to be a livable space. So to deny this application or to suggest anything else would be a hardship indeed for the applicant, because they would not be able to use that space as a dwelling unit, which is permitted under current ordinance and the ordinances to be implemented shortly by the state and by the town. So there are no conditions on this approval, and without a further explanation, I suggest that I move that the application be granted.
Mr. Daniels, excuse me, it has a 2-year expiration.
Yes, add the 2-year expiration to that approval. Thank you.
Motion is made by Mr. Daniels. Can I hear a second? Oh, the second by Mr. Peltier. Any other, I'm sorry, Mr. Newby. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Daniels, Mr. Helio, Mr. Rosen, Ms. Hicks,
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Motion passes. Good luck. Sorry about that. Next, we're going to hear the petition of Gabrielle McCaffrey of 106 Grant Drive, North Kingstown, Rhode Island, 02852, For a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows, the applicant is seeking to construct a 14 by 16-foot addition to the existing single-family dwelling. The addition will be located 12.7 feet from the corner side property line. The required corner yard setback is 20 feet. Therefore, if 7.3 foot is requested, lot size is 0.28 acres. Dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance per section 401, Schedule of Dimensional Regulations, and section 907 are standards of relief. The owner of the property is Amy Vincent for premises located at 350 Willard Avenue, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 56-2, Lot 258, and is zoned R10. For this application, we have the application with the cover letter signed and dated June 14th of this year, owner authorization form signed and notarized June 14th, proposed addition plans A1, A2, A3, A4 dated April 2024, proposed conditions plan prepared by James T. Calderon and stamped and dated June 6th of this year, 200-foot of butters list and radius map, legal notices, and notarized affidavit of mailing. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
And you are?
Gabriel McCaffrey,
Right.
Gabriel
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Okay. So tell us what you want to do. It looks like you have a odd-shaped lot that's pretty small.
It is, and the main purpose for this addition is to incorporate a new staircase going into their basement. Right now, the staircase is centrally located and is quite precarious. It barely meets the code minimums for width, and as far as the rise and run is very steep, and some of these steps are they vary in the rise up to an inch.
Oh, man.
So which also is
Keeps you on your feet.
yeah, or on your butt.
Yeah, well, yeah, true.
Yeah. So that's the main
So
reason.
this is basically a stairway that you're putting in, or?
It'll be part of it will be a stairway. There'll also be an entry, excuse me, a new entryway to the backyard.
So this is, so it's, you're going, I mean, it's stairs going up and down, or?
Well, one set of stairs, yes, sir. We'll
Just one set.
Cut through the foundation
Okay,
and close off the existing staircase.
okay. So this is just really to provide a safer egress?
This is correct.
Basically, so how old's the house right now?
Excuse me?
How old is the house?
What was it? 1954, yes, sir.
1954?
Yeah.
So you can't find the builder and yell at him for
No.
bad rise and
Yeah.
run? Okay, so, all right, I mean, it seems, and so really there's no other place to put it? There's an existing set of stairs there right now, or no?
There is a set of stairs, yes, sir.
And is it through a bulkhead or through?
No, it's in the center of the house, but in order to get to the stairs, it's facing an exterior wall, so it's very narrow.
Right.
Getting to the staircase is just very awkward.
So you're going to take out that staircase, build this addition, and have a little bit more of a mudroom space, and then also be able to fit a legal stairway?
That is correct.
Okay, makes sense. Board members, questions for the applicant? No? Do you want to add anything else?
No, sir, not at the moment.
Do you have anyone else that wants to speak on behalf of this at all?
The homeowners are here, but I really don't think they have much to say.
They don't need to if they don't want to. Anyone here for this petition? Speak on behalf? No? Okay. If you don't want to add anything else, I think it seems pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward, yes, sir.
I mean, it sounds like that the house is already not within the setback, so you're just sort of extending that wall.
Correct.
Just to have some continuity of design a little bit.
Exactly.
You're coming out as far as you kind of need to. You're coming out, what's that, 16 feet?
Yes, sir.
18 feet?
16.
Okay, sorry. I left my young eyes somewhere else. So you're basically coming out as much as you need to. It's a normal flight of stairs, so like 11 stairs or something like that? 14
Yes,
stairs?
roughly.
Somewhere around there. Okay. Board members, any other questions for this applicant? Okay, thank you. Just to check again, nobody else wants to speak on behalf of this? Okay. Anyone have any thoughts or like to make a motion?
It's straightforward.
It is indeed. So you want to make a motion? No. Mr. Daniels?
Taking a break,
Go.
Mr. Rosen? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Petition of Gabriel McCaffrey, who appeared on behalf of himself, 106 Grant Drive, North Kingstown. The property is located at 350 Willard Avenue in South Kingstown. The application and the associated documents were identified and read into the record by the chairman. The applicant is seeking relief of 12 feet on a side, 7.3 feet is requested on a corner side yard setback. He's actually redoing a set of stairs and squaring off the property, an older property built in 1954, and in need of some alteration to provide better entrance into the property and also some better addition to the and accessibility to the deck at the rear of the property. So with that in mind, the board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is not due, or is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land and structure, because it is a small lot. There is a significant drop-off in elevation on the where the proposed addition will go, and there's no place else really to add an effective entrance and an addition to the property that makes some sense for increased usage of the dwelling and for the owner's convenience. The board finds the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant because no action has been taken on the property. The application has been filed as appropriate. Documents have been filed, site plans and so on have been identified, and everything is in order for the granting of the requested variance. The board finds that the granting of the variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance. Once again, it's a small lot, it's a small addition of 224 square feet, doesn't make a tremendous impact on the surrounding area, and there is no objection from anyone on this application. The board finds that the hardship suffered by the owner, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than a mere inconvenience, meaning that the relief sought is minimal to a reasonable enjoyment of the permitted use to which the property is proposed to be devoted, because once again, it is a simple addition and a 7-foot variance required for the addition, which makes the entrance and the accessibility to the existing dwelling much more convenient for the property owner. There is no conditions on this approval, Mr. Chairman, and I move that we grant the application.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Rosen. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Daniels, Mr. Rosen, Mr. Ilio, Ms. Hicks?
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Motion passes. Good luck. Okay. So next, we're going to go with Marasco. The petition of James and Joan Marasco of 617 Smith Street, Providence, Rhode Island, 02908, for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to demolish the existing dwelling and construct a new dwelling with attached garage 0 feet from the east side property line. The required yard setback is 7.3 feet, therefore 7.3 feet relief of requested. The lot size is 0.33 acres. Dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance section 205, single non-conforming recorded lots, and section 907 are standards of relief. Owners of the property are James T. and Joan M. Marasco for premises located at 65 Quagnut Drive, South Kingstown. Assessors map 63-3, lot 22, and is zoned R40. For this petition, we have the application with the zoning narrative signed and dated March 20th of this year. Owner authorization form signed and notarized March 20th. Construction schematics SD1 through SD15. prepared by Nathaniel David Carden, architect, and dated March 14th, 2024. Site plan showing proposed improvements, one page, prepared by Frisella Balch and Associates, and stamped, signed, and dated by Jeffrey K. Balch, PLS of March 21st of this year. Continuation letter from dated April 24th, 2024. Continuation letter dated May 15th, 2024. Curriculum vitae, page Robert Bronk, AICP. Correspondences of Jeffrey C. and Karen A. Potter, 53 Quagna Drive. Laura Cronley from 70 Winchester Drive, and 200-foot of butters list and radius map, legal notices, and authorized or notarized affidavit of mailings. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Attorney Steven Surdit on behalf of the applicant, with offices here at 10 High Street in the South Kingstown Mill. I want to thank you for the opportunity to present here tonight. I'll do my best to be brief. You do have a number of applications, as I'm aware. I have 4 witnesses that I do wish to present to the board here tonight, 3 experts, and then the family that are the property owners. I'm actually personally very excited to present this application, as when I was in college, which is now becoming quite some time ago, I lived in this neighborhood and have had, being a local person, have had the opportunity to watch this neighborhood grow, and it is quite different than when I was residing there 20 years ago. As the board knows, this neighborhood has changed from primarily 3-season or converted cottages to modern, multi-story, architecturally designed, beautiful homes that are incorporate in the unique topography and character of this community, being essentially a peninsula that sits out into the upper salt pond. What we are here tonight proposing to do is to upgrade an existing, and I'm going to say very tired structure that has been in place since essentially, it's a post-World War II structure. What the applicant is looking to do is to maintain the existing garage on site and to demolish and rebuild the primary structure on the site and incorporate that garage into the structure. The garage is currently existing. The garage is currently on the setback line. It has a 0 setback. With the exception of a 4.6 feet of height, all other aspects of our new design fit your zoning ordinance. So we are here essentially asking to add, we're here for a dimensional variance, but it's a dimensional variance to add add height or to modify an existing structure that already exists inside of the zoning setback. You can see on the site plan up on the board, it's that hatched area right up by the front of the road. So in bringing forth this project and any project that I bring forth in South County with an applicant, especially in a small, unique neighborhood like the Pond Street, Quagnock area, as we're going through the process, I encourage applicants to go speak to their neighbors. I encourage applicants to speak to abutters, but they're neighbors. These folks all have to live together in relatively close confines, and hopefully for the foreseeable future they have to live together. So as such, I ask people to go out into the community, speak to their neighbors, ask their neighbors their opinions, see if the neighbors have objections, see if we can make reasonable accommodations for those neighbors to be neighborly, as is the South County tradition. The subject, and with regard to this application, my clients did that. They went around the community, they spoke to different folks, and they went to speak to their neighbors directly on the, what I'm calling the northern side, the Potters, the folks that drafted a letter and submitted it to you. They went over to the folks, we spoke to them about different options. Because it is a 0 setback, we were desirous if they would work with us on allowing us access over their property.
Right.
They do not. They have every right to not have us have access to that property.
Okay.
And in submitting that letter to you, their last paragraph, they suggest that they leave the applicant to their devices so long as they don't come onto our property and they don't impact us in any way. And that is what we are going to be able to present to you here tonight, that we are going to be able to construct that site plan without going onto the neighbor's property, without impacting the neighbor's existing split rail fence, without impacting the neighbor's existing vegetative buffer, without putting one eyelash over the property line. And we believe that that is what the applicant asked us to do, based on that letter that we received.
Okay.
The applicant is here tonight with an attorney. Seems that their position has changed since they put that letter forth. They suggest that good fences make good neighbors. We want to honor their fence. We want to stay on our side of the fence and construct and modernize this very unique piece of property, which Mr. Cardin will explain to you. It's taken an extreme amount of time, energy, and skill to design the application that's before you here tonight.
Well, I'm very curious how they're going to do that.
Yep.
So,
And we do have
as soon as, yep,
our
'cause
contractor
that's
here.
the crux of it.
Yep, we have our
Because-
contractor here.
Yep.
He'll go through his curriculum vitae with you, and
Okay.
he'll make that assertion. I don't have the skill set to make that,
Yep.
nor the ability to orchestrate it. That's why he's here before you tonight, and we found it extremely important to present him to you here tonight.
So this addition, this garage is on the property line right
Yes.
now? It's
Yep.
not over the property, it's directly on it without an inch to spare?
And the only reason I can affirmatively say that to you is based on the site plan that's presented to you, stamped by a licensed surveyor. No one's
Okay.
presented me with any other maps or anything that would refute that
Okay.
assertion by the land surveyor. And I think if it was over, we would have to pull it back. It would be an encroachment, or we'd have to execute something with the neighbors. We wouldn't have the right to come to this board and ask for relief over the line. I defer to your counsel on that, but I've never done that.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure how that would work out, but, okay, well, no, I mean, because certainly we're here for the setback. I think, as for the rest of the plan of the property, that's not necessarily ours to review. So really, it's a matter of why you need to be on the property line.
Yep.
And what you're gonna do to that building to make sure that you're not sort of encroaching on the neighbors. So that's all we wanna hear, that's it.
Okay, I will defer, and we'll keep it as brief as we can while getting our point across. I know you have additional applications here
Yeah,
tonight.
but I mean, it's really, that's the only reason we're here, is just to determine what's gonna happen with that setback and how you can accomplish a zero clearance.
Absolutely.
project.
So with that being said, I'd respectfully call.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please, Mr. Wood.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Of course.
Did I hear you correctly? You're here for a height?
No, we are here to add additional height within a setback on an existing structure. So we're here to modify an existing structure from 16 feet tall to 20 and a half feet tall within your setback. And we have to ask for relief to make that a change because we're inside of your zoning setback. We are and we will continue to remain below your height requirements.
Okay, the reason I asked that is because you talked about having a height.
We talk about adding height, and I want to be very clear, and I've asked my experts to be very clear, that we are not asking for a height variance. We're asking for increased height on an existing structure within your setback.
Okay.
So just to be clear, if you were just modifying and improving that wall and not altering its height, you wouldn't need to be here. Is that right?
I defer to your
So if they
learned
were just
counsel
putting
on
new
that.
shingles on the side of that building,
They wouldn't need a variance.
they wouldn't need a variance. They
No,
could
to
just put new
repair.
shingles on it and you would allow them to do it without a variance.
I mean, they'd have to likely go on their neighbor's property, but they wouldn't need a variance to maintain and repair the structure.
Right. Okay. I have more questions about that too, but, I mean, can you be in the air above somebody's property? Or you cannot be in the air over it? So if you put scaffolding that's jetting over someone's property, is that technically on that person's property?
I'm going to defer to your learned counsel on that.
Okay, well, we might find out that answer during
And
all
I
this.
think the answer for the board is, we don't need to consider civil questions of trespass. That's for the private parties before the board.
Okay.
So that's not something we need to,
But we do have to consider sort of the ability to construct and maintain the building
Right,
in
we have
terms of
to-
its setbacks.
we have to consider what they're here for, which is, as Mr. Surratt said, new height on an existing structure that's already encroaching on the set, or within the setback.
So we are considering the fact that it does exist now.
Yeah, we're considering the fact that it does exist because I think the board would have to take a different view of a brand-new structure that's built within the setback.
Fair, okay. Does that make sense, everybody? Thank you.
It is existing because I've seen it.
Well, of course it's but I mean, if you're taking it down to the slab, is it still an existing? Like, so if you're taking it down to the foundation, or if they're raising it in height, is that adding to the plate? So you only can take it down to the plate and then add to it?
If you're building new, so if you're demolishing the building down to the foundation and building in the same footprint, unless if it's destroyed by an act of God, you would need a variance from the zoning board of review.
But this can be, it's not about adding to an existing structure. They can take it all the way down to the foundation right now if we approve it at the zero setback and then rebuild it.
I don't believe that's what they've conveyed,
Okay,
but I would ask them to clarify that.
fantastic. Okay,
Well, and our
we'll find out.
folks will clarify that exact issue, Mr. Chairman. I understand. I'm glad you spoke, and that way we can address the specific concerns the board have.
Great. Thank you.
So with that said, I will call our architect, Mr. Nathan Cardin. I would request that he be considered an expert witness. We can go through his curriculum vitae if the board would like. He's got extensive experience in this arena, and I believe he's testified in front of numerous boards previously.
Okay. So come on up. State and spell your name, please.
Nathaniel Carden, Nathaniel Carden.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And you're a registered architect?
Yes.
Excellent.
Good evening, everyone. As I just stated, my name is Nathaniel Carden. I am, in fact, a registered architect from Providence, Rhode Island, working with the Marasco family on the design of their new home. In this presentation, I'll be giving just an overview of the owner's criteria as kind of a background, a brief summary of the site and the relief requested, the design process to date, and the proposed design. The Marascos have owned this property for about 24 years. They've been using the house as a summer home and a meeting point for bringing their family together on holidays and special occasions. It was originally constructed in 1940 as a single-story cottage with a walkout basement that's now, and the home is now in a state of disrepair. The existing foundation is deteriorating. It's a concrete block construction. It's unsuitable for reuse or expansion. The Marascos love the property, the neighborhood, and the town, and they're seeking to construct this new home that's suitable for multi-generational needs. And their goals are both practical and related to architectural beauty. They desire 4 bedrooms, multiple indoor and outdoor family gathering spaces, 2-car garage, a residential elevator, and the ability for around-the-clock in-home care.
So if we could just focus on the garage.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah,
Thank you.
why we're here. Exactly. So as you can see in the site plan, if you don't mind, Mr. Gorman, going back to the site plan exhibit. The lot is irregularly shaped. It's narrow and tapered and has unique characteristics. The existing home to be demolished is proposed to be constructed in conformance with building codes, and we're proposing to keep the existing lofted single-car garage. And we would, proposing for that to remain in its current footprint. And it is located on the south property line. We're seeking relief to vertically extend that existing structure approximately 5 feet, or about 4 feet, 8 inches. All the other proposed extensions, as has been previously mentioned, are in conformance with the zoning standards. A flexible home designed for aging in place requires accessibility and the ability for year-round in-home care. And we are proposing to add a bedroom and a recreational suite to be added on top of the existing non-conforming garage in order to allow for this to occur in a non-intrusive way, in a way which is facilitating enjoyment and improved quality of life of the home. There have been alternate studies of this particular design, including a design which has the garage entering from the front. And due to the narrowness of the lot, the two-car garage would actually take up much of the facade. By expanding the existing garage towards the north allows the garage to be entered from the side, improving the neighborhood pedestrian-friendly aesthetics, allowing for drivers to turn around and safely exit the driveway facing forward. The driveway configuration also reduces the need for on-street parking during family gatherings. This could be actually a benefit to the neighbors. Due to the proximity to coastal features, there's a new advanced septic system that's required to be located on the front of the house. And it's basically unable to be reasonably moved, adding to the many unique constraints of the site. We've also studied various roof lines and have adjusted for the side setbacks, which have been calculated and confirmed by the surveyor and in a meeting at the building department. The owners are committed to adding to the neighborhood design character. The reason I bring this up is because we believe that we make references to the South Kingstown Residential Design Manual, not just in terms of things like context, materials, character, but in this case relevant to the garage, prioritizing the pedestrian experience over the car, which there are specific references in that design manual which do not recommend having driveways that enter directly facing the street and having a garage which dominates the facade.
For where? I'm sorry.
I'm just referencing the South Kingstown Residential Design Manual and how we've applied some of those principles in this design by having a garage that enters from the side, which is all wrapped up into the reasons why we're proposing to add on top of the garage.
Okay. So in terms of the, I'm sorry, I'll let you finish up.
I'd be happy to answer questions.
So, so is your intent to take the garage down to the slab?
The intent is to leave more, at least 3 walls of the garage in place.
Yep.
To create an opening on one side for the garage to be entered on the side, and then to construct to add on to from the inside of the garage, essentially, vertically.
So, and it looks like the driveway on the north side is about 6 feet away from the property line.
On the north side?
Yeah.
Right. So
why can't everything move over 6 feet if you're worried about them being able to turn around in the driveway? Why can't you move the garage 6 feet over or 7.3 feet over and not need relief?
Right. So I have a diagram here actually that shows the turning maneuvers. And shows how when you're backing out, due to the location of the leach field, proximity of the leach field to the foundation, the septic tank, and the driveway configuration, there's actually not 6 feet of play in terms of being able to safely exit the driveway facing forward. So I'll just pass that around and let me know if you have any further questions on that.
Well, then why not just push it all farther in towards the water?
So we've been trying to keep our distance, and it wouldn't solve the issue of entering the driveway from the side versus having a, garage-dominated facade.
I mean, because you're doing a lot of manipulation to the site, and it just seems like that you're just trying to take advantage of the fact that that building is right on the property line instead of moving it.
The garage, as you can see, the property gets narrower as it approaches the water,
Sure.
which further exacerbates the difficulty of maintaining that condition of entering the garage from the side. And you can also see the topography lines where there's a steep drop-off of slope that makes the construction considerably more difficult the farther east we go towards the water. And we also, we have already done a preliminary determination with CRMC. They're trying to maintain a certain buffer and recreational use.
And is Quagnot Drive a really busy road?
I'm not a traffic planner,
Okay.
so I'm not sure if I can give you a...
Is it a major road? I mean, is it
No.
connecting streets? Is it a dead end, or what is it?
It's not by any means a main arterial road.
Right.
It's a neighborhood
Right.
access road.
So backing out could be a real danger?
Backing out, there is existing vegetation. It's a home for aging in place. We are trying to accommodate that in every way that we possibly can.
Right, okay. I mean, that's understood. I mean, it's just, I still need to hear the building plan in terms of not affecting, but you're putting an extra 5 feet on top of the building. To say that you're not going to drop anything off the edge just seems a bit outlandish, to say the least. So I understand the building is right on the property line right now, and it seems like you guys are making a lot of effort just to keep it there instead of moving it to be in compliance. Or
We
to
wouldn't
try to
be
be a
able to-
little bit away. I mean, if you had the permission of the neighbor, perhaps, but it's still going to require someone to be on the other side to do repairs over time. And so that's kind of, if you're doing all these improvements to the lot, you could create a little bit more room, is sort of I'm just trying to understand why it has to be right there with all the things you're doing to it. You're really altering that structure quite a bit.
Understood. It basically comes down to the depth needed in order to be able to enter it from the side. If we were to shift the entire addition to be in conformance with the 7.3-foot side setback, it would make that goal impossible.
Could you do 3 feet?
Doing 3 feet comes with its own set of potential issues if the neighbor has concerns about existing vegetation along the side of their property line.
Well, I mean, you could touch all the vegetation on your side. That's fine.
But if they're worried about their tall arborvitae plants, for instance, that are up against this wall,
Yeah.
they're typically a shallow root system, and their landscaping would likely be better preserved if we weren't necessarily digging the new foundation out, for
But
instance,
it's
3
a
feet.
permanent change for some plants. No offense to the plants. But you're talking about a permanent structure that is going to, that you're saying we have to keep it there because of the plants. And
Not necessarily, no, I'm not necessarily making that exact point.
I know,
Yeah.
but I'm just trying to see, like, it just seems like that there are a lot of options into making this a little bit less invasive or based on the changes that are happening to the site. So, but again, we still need to hear, I think, some of the, and other board members might have more to say than just myself. So anyway, I'll open it up. Mr. Daniels, do you have a?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, I do. I believe you testified that the plan is to add a suite on top of the existing garage, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So is there any vegetation overhanging the existing garage at this point?
On the north side, there is existing evergreen trees, which would be removed, but
Are they on?
on the south side, I believe they're arborvitaes or cedars.
Well, is the vegetation on the applicant's property line or the?
That's what I'm
Pardon?
raising as a point.
Or is it on the abutter's property line? Where is the vegetation? Who owns the vegetation?
I think Mr. Varman just brought up this street view, which shows the vegetation that would be in question, right?
So I guess my concern would be, or question would be, if there's vegetation over the existing garage where you plan to add a suite, you need to remove that vegetation. If that vegetation is not yours, then you have no right to remove it, correct?
Is there not a right to trim vegetation encroaching on a property line? I mean, in terms of...
From what I understand, you can cut a limb that's over your property,
Yeah.
even if it's someone else's tree.
Okay.
But that's not your point.
Okay, so you're going to build a suite on top of the existing garage, and that would be 460 square feet, I believe, from the plan, is that correct? The existing garage is 440?
Yeah,
440? So that suite would be 440 square feet?
it would be similar to the footprint of the garage addition plus the garage below, which is...
So now your testimony is that not only are you building the suite on the existing, which you testified to earlier, you're also building it on the additional portion, is that correct?
That's correct, but I don't think that's necessarily what's in question or what we're seeking relief on today.
I'm sorry, say that again?
We're not seeking relief for the portion that's on top of the addition. We're seeking relief for the portion that's on top of the existing garage that's within the setback.
So if you demolish the existing garage and you just went with the garage addition as it is, why couldn't you do that? Why do you need the existing garage?
The existing garage is necessary to have enough depth to accommodate the length of a car entered from the side.
So what is the garage addition, what is the depth of that? I can't see a measurement on the site plan.
The existing garage width is approximately 13 feet, and we're proposing to add approximately another 10 feet to the north.
Okay, so the depth of the existing garage is how much?
The existing garage it's about 13 feet in width. Yep.
No, I'm talking about if you enter the existing garage, what is the front to back when you put that automobile in the garage?
The existing width of the garage is approximately 24 square feet, but it's entered from the front. And we're proposing a design which enters from the side, which we believe is consistent with the design manual, the South Kingston residential design standards.
So where you show the driveway entering the garage addition, that's what you consider the side?
Correct.
Okay. What do you consider the front of the garage?
The side that's facing Quagnut.
Okay. All right, so it seems to me the garage addition of 446 square feet is in excess of what's existing presently. So are you telling me that the applicant can't live with 446 square foot garage with a suite on top? He needs the extra space that's provided by the existing garage?
The owner's criteria was to have a two-car garage in the new home. And we're proposing to construct it entering on the side by adding the conforming portion of the addition.
Nothing further at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Anyone else have questions?
If I may?
Mr. DuPont, go ahead
Yeah.
first.
Looking at your drawing here, the way you have the ingress and egress with the driveway to the, now going to be two-car garage as opposed to, I think, there's a one-car garage entered from the front. Am I correct?
That's correct.
You are, okay. I see, is that an existing leach field there on your drawing, or what is that? Is that?
There's, that's the proposed leach field.
That's a proposed leach field?
Correct.
Okay. So if, based on some of the questions that have been asked here, because of that zero setback on the side lot line there, would you consider, or is it possible to move that up, say, 3 feet, like we were talking about, to get access to the back and any vegetation or what have you? What would be the detrimental effects of moving that up a couple of 3 feet?
You mean raising the existing garage and moving the south wall 3
Oh,
feet?
yeah, because you're taking it down to nothing anyway, you said. Well, you said you're going to save one wall.
We're saving more than 3 walls, but.
You're going to save 3 walls?
Yeah.
All right, okay. Okay.
The space above the garage, by reducing the width by 3 feet, it does take away from the effective use of the space above the garage.
Yeah, I'm just bringing up ideas as far as the setback and what some of the
Yeah.
concerns were.
I did say I was going to circulate this diagram as well, so.
Hmm.
It's an enlarged portion of the driveway showing the turning radii.
I'm sorry? Applicant's one? Okay. Okay, did he steal your thunder, Mr. Rosen? You did, okay.
Let me just add a little humor in here. This takes me back about 50 years to when I lived in California. And there were a lot of people there wanting to take small houses and build up bigger houses. But the city didn't like them to take down the whole house. So they'd leave one wall right on the property line, and then they build around that. And it seemed like a humorous situation at the time, and this appears to be what you're doing here. You're following California. You're leaving 3 walls in that garage. You're moving the opening of the garage to the side. It's presently comes in from the front, where I assume over the past number of years, the Marascos have been able to back out onto Quagnat Road in the past with a car. It's a one-car garage. I've been there. I've seen that. The road is not very busy at all as such. I just don't know why you can't leave it as entrance from the front. If you're going to leave 3 walls in the building itself that's already there, which, by the way, is not very lovely, that garage.
Right, the garage would be at least resided as much as possible, and improved aesthetically as a result of this project. And the intent of the project is not at all to be deceptive. The intent of the project is to seek the highest and best use of the site, and looking for ways of not just improving the sort of progressive lifestyle of the residents of the property, but being mindful of beneficial community conditions as well.
So the wall that's going to be right on the property line, is that going to remain as is, or is that going to be covered in some sort of new material or whatever?
So that brings me to my second sheet that I can hand around, but it's just a slightly different elevation than what's included in this package. The existing wall that is there, which is completely covered by vegetation, is like a pebbled stucco. And what would be constructed new on top of it would be like a board and batten material. The construction techniques I can't necessarily speak to in terms of particular means and methods, but having done projects in urban settings, the technique would be consistent with what you would see for commercial construction, more common to urban environments, such as, prefabrication and lifting it into place. But this elevation just simply shows the existing wall that would remain, and it's the pebbled stucco siding, which has been hatched.
And I assume the engineer is going to tell us how he's going to place the material on that wall, the new material on that wall, without impinging upon the Potter property.
We do have other expert witnesses who can come.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosen. Any other questions for this witness? No? Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
another applicant, if possible, would like to request a continuance.
Okay. Okay. Well, that was partly my choice to stick them last. So, do we pause? I mean, how do we, yes?
If you want to just take a brief pause and then have the applicant make that request. I don't know if anyone else is here.
You may have Mr. Card, let me, why don't you just finish up, because you're on a roll. So, let's get you sort of wrapped up as to, and then once we're good, then we can take a break and let these guys
Sounds good.
jump in, so. This is applicants too.
Okay, I have two more points I'd like to make.
Yeah, please,
and then
go for it.
I'll make it very quick. So the Marascos do want to be good neighbors, and they're going to be working with a highly qualified and reputable contractor to achieve the constructing this vertical addition without requiring access to the south abutting neighbor's lot if necessary. And we do believe that the results of constructing this variety of home would be consistent with the goals of the town as illustrated in the town's comprehensive plan. It is my pleasure, or it will be my pleasure, to introduce Paige Bronk, certified planner, who will be the next expert witness to present today.
And his purpose is to provide us what as a planner?
He's basically going to go over the main points of the project and how they're in line with the goals of the comprehensive plan. And I've described how the design is consistent with the town's design manual, and
Right.
it's all connected to this sort of concept of being able to build off of this existing garage. That's the reason why we're here today.
Okay. I mean, are we going to hear from the builder as to how you're going to build this, how you're going to put this wall up? Not by a planner per se?
It sounds like you're most interested in that, so I'm
that's the main reason we're here. That's, I mean, that really, I mean, I'm less interested into how this fits within the overall design concepts of South Kingstown, because that's not necessarily part of our ordinance that we're necessarily judging this on. This is based on the fact that you're asking for a zero clearance to the neighbors and altering it in such a way that is going to impact sort of the neighbors. So really, it has little to do with sort of their other use of the property or a design concept, because there aren't really any design guidelines that we go by in this town. Because believe me, I would impose that multiple times over the many years that I've been here. But that's not what we do here. That's not our role. We're just really here to talk about how you're going to build to 0 feet on a property line.
We'll change our lineup, Mr. Chairman, and we'll have the builder present that.
Okay.
After, we can go right now, or?
No, we'll give them a chance to, how do I officially sort of change this, just to say that we're going to put a pause?
You can just note that, and it's noted, and name the property address and ask the applicant for that one to come up.
Okay.
So,
Is that all right?
Thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. So for the petition of James and Margaret Salgado, I'm assuming, for 4060 Tower Hill Road, Wakefield, Rhode Island, a special use permit for dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to legally establish the outdoor storage area associated with the non-conforming use, which is a wholesale trade in outdoor storage located on the premises. The owners of the property are James and Margaret Salgado for premises on 4060 Tower Hill Road. Good evening. So I'll just jump right to that because I don't think I need to read the whole thing in right now, do I? Yeah, okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, thank you. For both matters, we'd ask to be continued due to the likelihood that this current matter is going to be heard for some time.
Yeah, I apologize. I wanted to make sure that we were going to give you guys the room we needed to potentially hear both if we needed to. Was my main concern.
We're only for one, but.
Because we would have been, yeah, I mean, I just feel like that we would have been here the whole night and everybody else would have been pushed off. So I was really trying to do our best to kind of breeze through. So I apologize to everyone that's shown up to this, but it was sort of a decision we figured
that was the thought process.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it wasn't to single you guys out for anything, but just to give you guys the due process that you deserve.
I appreciate that.
So, okay. So you guys would like to continue it till next month?
Yes, please.
Please.
August 28th.
August 28th. Is there anyone else on August 28th yet? Oh, the agenda's closed, and there's only two. Oh, boy. Easy ones? Yeah, all right. Are these guys first? Would they be first? I mean,
it's up to you.
Yeah, I guess it is up to you. I proved that tonight, sorry about that. All right, well, it sounds like that it won't be a problem.
Wonderful.
To hear it the next
Thank
meeting.
you very much, I appreciate it.
Again, I apologize to everybody else that's traveled here once again for this. That was not my intent to sort of push you guys off.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Hang on, we're looking for August 28th for a continuance on this matter. Is there any discussion on this? Anyone have any issues? Then I'll make a motion to move the petition of James and Margaret Salgado to August 28th, 2024.
And Mr. Chair, it should be both the petition for the zoning relief and the continuation of the appeal of their notice of violation.
So moved that the two petitions for the special use and dimensional variance as well as the continuation of the appeal shall be for August 28th, 2028. Is that right?
Yeah, and just for any neighbors are there neighbors for
Yes,
this one in
there
the
definitely
audience?
are.
Just for any neighbors, the town issued a notice of violation. The property owner appealed that notice of violation. They have also applied for zoning relief. So next month, when it's heard, it's been delayed for several months for various reasons, the board will first, I think, hear the petition for relief. Because if that relief
Correct.
is granted, it will moot the violation issue.
Correct. That's correct.
But everyone will be heard next month.
Yes, and if you cannot make it next month, there have already been some letters submitted, so please submit them because we do take as much weight with a letter as we do in person. So please do that.
Thank you.
I didn't ask. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next month.
Thank you again. I appreciate your time. Okay. So we'll open back up the petition of James and Joan Marasco. And I believe they were about to call up their expert witness and they left the room, didn't they? Anybody want to take a break? Yeah, let's take a break. All right, let's take a 5-minute break, give them a chance to come back. gonna be a lot of fun. Just the building inspector has to be, ooh. That one's really complicated. Sure. Good evening.
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, it's 9 o'clock. We're ready to resume.
May I make a request of the board?
Oh, please.
Another one. So we've been here, all of our experts have been here. We've heard some commentary from the board, some thoughts from the board. I would like to formally request an opportunity to take those into advisement.
Okay.
Address our plan set accordingly.
Okay.
And come back before the board at your next meeting.
August 28th?
Yes, I think that would be your next meeting. And not to delay it unnecessarily, Mr. Chairman, but to do our best to address the concerns the board has raised.
That would be
And
great.
being neighborly.
Because I'd rather not be black and white about it. I'd rather you guys sort of come up with a, because I think the design is great. You guys are really, doing something very thoughtful and according to how the clients want the house. So it would be great if you can
And I will
work that
continue
out.
to communicate with Mr. Lynch and keep him up to date as to what's going forward and what's going on. and see if there's some way we can reach some sort of mutual accord.
Yeah, well, we can certainly still hear, I mean, we can hear from them tonight to see if they have any comment related to this.
Certainly.
But I'm assuming that in going back to the drawing board, quote unquote, would you sort of submit to them, or you just kind of wait for the next meeting?
I would submit to the board.
Okay,
But
for the next meeting.
Yeah, and out of both courtesy, professional courtesy, and just, I know that we're not trying to blindside anybody, so we would keep Mr. Lynch abreast and give him a copy of whatever we submit to the board as well.
Okay, okay.
And
Did you want to have a chance to say anything, or? Not right now, perfect, okay. Thank you, Mr. Stock. So any comment from the board at all?
Sounds like a reasonable request to me.
Okay.
We can solve it civilly amongst parties, come back here with something that makes some sense and addresses the concerns the board has. I think we can move forward.
Thank you. I appreciate your sentiment. And any other comments or thoughts the board has, we welcome them at this point. Obviously, that's what our goal here is in making this request.
It sounds like that, and I know I did most of the talking, but I think the concern would be in terms of making sure that you can maintain, you can improve the site and maintain it without sort of interrupting anything on the other side. Now, understanding that in order for you to manipulate this building, you might have to sort of cross the line. So it's making sure that you just kind of cross the line in terms of the property line, because the building is on the property line. I'm only saying that, like, to take down a building, you might need to step over that line. So just kind of working out things like that, just to make sure that you guys can have a good relationship going forward. Would be great.
That's my client's goal in reaching out and speaking, and that's our goal in making this request, to try to resolve it, come up with a solution.
So I would say then, if that's the case, if we're going to do it on that date, you guys might want to show up around 8 o'clock, 8:30.
Well, you know, we, have the ads gone out? Okay, because I wonder if 6 o'clock might be an option. You know, Siligato, I think that ship has sailed for Tower Hill Road since they're out of here now, but I wonder if some of the new ones, if the board is available at 6, we might have more time that evening. Just a thought.
How does everyone feel about that? Yeah?
And-
6
and-
o'clock.
What's the date, the 20th?
28.
Would you like us to come at 6, or would you like us to come at 7 or 8?
Yeah. Well, if we start at 6, then you probably, well, you still might start around 7:30 or 8.
We'll be here at 7 regardless, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, it's just a matter of you guys sitting around.
Understood.
So it's just so riveting, I understand that, you know, what else would you want to do on a Wednesday night in the middle of summer?
Well, at least there's no hockey game on. Oftentimes there are hockey games on these nights during the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay. So, are we good? Is that okay, the 28th? It's, oh.
You okay with that, Mike?
Cruise through? Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
We appreciate the.
better for you.
Yeah, we all know you're volunteers, and we appreciate your time and inconvenience and willingness to do that.
Oh, we get about $10 a meeting, so it's not completely volunteer. Okay. So, does anybody have any problem with that, 6 o'clock, August 28th? Nope? Okay. Okay, so, we will move the matter of James and Joan Marasco of 617 Smith Street in Providence for the 65 Quagnet Drive to August 28th to continue the meeting. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Daniels. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Mr. Daniels? Aye. Mr. Elia? Mr. Rosen? Ms. Higgs? Okay, motion passes. We'll see you guys in a month.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you guys for working that out. I appreciate it. All right, so hang on to these files, guys. We'll need them. Because I keep throwing everything away every week. Anything else we have to cover? I mean, now that we have a few minutes, is there anything you guys wanted to review, or are we good?
I thought we'd all be here longer tonight. I don't know if now or in August or not at all, if you want to hear a 5-minute version of, or some high points on the new zoning stuff, I could go through some high points, or you could just feel free to ask questions, or just take the memo as food for thought.
I always like to hear it, but I prefer to, so I mean...
Yeah. I can try to do a 5-minute version, or maybe even a 3-minute, I can maybe even do a 3-minute
I won't
version.
time you.
Yeah.
And I'll do my best not to yawn.
And if we can, yeah.
We do have minutes to approve, yes.
Was that before, am I jumping ahead? No. Okay, go ahead and do that then.
Okay, so we have the minutes for which, what's the date we got the minutes for? June 26th. Anyone have any changes, alterations to that? No? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, and attendance next, the August 28th meeting? Everybody going to be here? Yes, at 6 o'clock. Okay, I'll have to change that. Do you want, oh, I'm sorry, do you want me to hang on to Exhibit 1 and 2? I'll hold on to them. I will, I promise. I don't think so. Okay, I'll hang on to them. All right, so everybody's going to be here. Okay, great. So, Ms. Goins.
Just one question. Does it, in the advertising, does it say 6 o'clock?
I haven't advertised yet, so the legal notice that the new petitions would say 7 o'clock, so I think that's another reason why we're better to start them doing this later.
Yeah.
So it will make a difference
The,
if we hear this one first at 6.
right. The agenda that we post will say 6 o'clock. Most people will show up for 7. So is there a motion to add the brief discussion of the 2024 land use legislation to the agenda? Just discussion only? Yes. Okay. Consensus? As long as I keep it brief. You have my office's memo on the new laws. There is some work to be done for the town council in amending our zoning ordinance. Accessory dwelling units, as we discussed tonight, is probably the biggest impact. The changes aren't as wide scale and drastic as last year's housing package, which really changed things. Accessory dwelling units is the big one. For us, as I mentioned with the withdrawn application, the definition of a household has changed. We have on the books a special use permit for occupancy by more than 3 unrelated individuals. The town council will decide whether or not to keep that option on the books now that that upper limit for a household has been bumped up. So now the town has the discretion to limit occupancy by unrelated individuals on a per bedroom basis. So we can't restrict occupancy below 1 per bedroom. So if it's a 2-bedroom house, 2 people. But 5 unrelated maximum for a 5-bedroom house. Yeah, so there's a floor and a ceiling now. Yep, so they had filed under what's on the books before this new law took effect. And I guess now, knowing about the new law, my assumption is instead of asking for relief, they're going to abide by the new law. Yeah, so,
It's also listed for sale.
yep. Yes, because the state law now says shall not exceed 5 unrelated. I told the town council last week, my opinion, I don't think that precludes a town from offering an option, a special use permit option for occupancy by more than 5 unrelated, but the town may choose to eliminate that option, since now the upper limit has been bumped up from 3 to 5. Yeah, accessory dwelling units, we're gonna see more. There's different paths to get an accessory dwelling unit legalized. There's one path where the occupancy is restricted for a disabled family member. There's another path with, if you have at least 20,000 square feet, you can build a new building. And the third path is if it's in an existing building on a lot of really any size. So really the highlights are the town has to apply, can't enact more stringent regulations for a structure with an accessory dwelling unit than we would for just any old accessory structure. So I think the key thing for the board to think about as we start seeing, I think we're going to see more and more applications for garages with ADUs, new tiny homes, is when someone applies to build a garage, just be advised, they can come back in a month, a year after the garage is built, and they might not even need to get relief from the zoning board. They might just be able to get, depending on the lot and how big they want the ADU, they may be able to just get a building permit to create a dwelling unit within that existing structure. Because there's one path that says existing structures. So just keep that in mind. And the goal, this was the piece of unfinished business from last year. So the stated goal, right, was more housing. The other thing to note is that starting in January, cities and towns could choose to combine the planning and zoning board into one combined review board that will have the authority to hear both planning and zoning. And we told the town council in the memo, it's optional now, but it's a possibility down the line that could be mandatory. It did pass. The combined review board passed. It's in the memo. It's effective January 1st, 2025. And again, it's just optional. I don't think the memo included the public law references because the memo went out before, as the laws were awaiting the governor's signature. They're all effective now. He didn't veto any of the land use laws. I think those were kind of the inclusionary zoning too. That's the other one. And typically, this board doesn't deal much with inclusionary zoning because if a project is subject to inclusionary zoning, it goes before the planning board. But just so you're aware, inclusionary zoning has been tweaked once more. And again, that's still optional for cities and towns. South Kingstown has had it on the books. It's still on the books now. So if you're building more than, I can never keep, I think if you're building a development of 5 or more dwelling units, you need to restrict 25% of them as affordable housing. That 25% was bumped up from what we had on the books 20%. It's going down now to 15%. And last year, they increased the density bonus to 2 for 1. So for every affordable unit you were required to construct, you got 2 additional market rate units. It's going back down, starting in January, to a 1 for 1 density bonus. Because some municipalities reacted to the new law by eliminating inclusionary zoning. And I think the planners pushed back, and the municipalities pushed back and said, let's dial back some of these changes. So the trend is still in, more in favor of more housing, but that was one where I think the General Assembly heard the concerns of some municipalities and reeled it in a little bit. Well, hey, and that's up to the council, and I don't know whether they'll bite on that option. I just we wanted to advise everyone, sometimes the state calls things optional, right? Like Unified Development Review was optional until it wasn't. So I think the only pro would be if a town is having trouble finding members for 2 boards and achieving quorums for 2 boards. If there are boards who, only hear 1 application a month, they might say, hey, well, it might make sense to combine it and give them something to do. I don't think that's, my position. I don't think that's the case in South Kingstown. I think the zoning board is busy, and the planning board is just as busy, if not busier.
Can they give a little bit of, could they allow the planning board to make zoning decisions if it were in the application?
They already do now.
Oh,
So
they already do.
before 2024,
Yeah.
the planning board would see an application, and if it required zoning relief, you would be their next stop. Now, someone can apply for a subdivision, a land development project, and whatever zoning relief they need, the planning board is empowered to grant variances and special use permits.
Wouldn't that apply to the more than 3 unrelated also, because that has to go to the development plan review? So,
Yeah.
where in the past,
Yep.
having a special use permit, now we wouldn't see those anymore.
We would still see, the zoning board now only sees relief that's not connected to something that also requires, we're not going to be seeing, those applications aren't going to be going through the planning board anymore. Or if they require development plan review, the planning board is gonna review the special use permit. So, right, I don't think, I think that one was in the pipeline from several months ago. I don't think we're gonna see anymore.
Because I feel like we haven't really seen any follow-up planning board decisions for us. That we've
Yep.
seen less. And is
Yes.
that the reason why?
That's the reason why, yep.
That makes sense.
I think Chipotle was the last one.
Yep.
They didn't even break ground yet. What's up with those? Well, some of this makes sense, it sounds like. It's not all sort of just radical, develop like crazy. I mean, are you finding there's more pressure on you, like that more is coming in based on this? Not necessarily.
Probably, we're seeing 2 more applications for modifications, which are applications that could be, up to 25% granted by the officer rather than going to the zoning board. So I think they're making it a little bit easier and streamlined for developers and property owners. Probably prioritizing, development of new housing. Every day's wonderful, so, and a different challenge, but I wouldn't say it's harder or,
There hasn't been like an uptick of applications per se.
No, I would say, if anything, it's probably more strain on planning staff, because it kind of diverts a lot of this to planning staff and the planning board.
Right.
And the other thing, I guess, just logistically is e-permitting. So applicants who need a building permit, they go through the town's e-permitting portal. I think the compliance date is October 1st of next year, right? Your zoning applications are going to be submitted electronically. So they're going to look different now than the paper copies. So that's, I don't want to say an entirely unfunded mandate, because there is going to be some support from the state, and a tack-on fee on the permitting software will go to support this, but that's something that town staff is going to need to work on and implement. We're going to have to go from a paper-based filing system to an electronic filing system.
Which we already have the fundamentals in place for.
I would suggest to my colleagues that if you feel that the planning effort and zoning application is one, the planning effort
If, maybe we can put this on either August or September. I don't want to wait too long. I don't think the town council is going to have the public hearing on any of these amendments until the fall. And again, that is optional. I think if not August, then September, it could be on this board's agenda for a discuss and act. And in the meantime, if you're all nodding your heads, I can start working on a letter that this board could approve as a board. You're all free on an individual basis to, contact your town council, of course, but if you want it as a formal letter from the board, I would suggest it should be on an agenda. You should take a look at it and vote on it. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be appetite in South Kingstown to change the status quo. What I would suggest, I don't think the planning board has discussed the new legislation at all. I think that's on their agenda for this month's meeting. I kind of assume the planning board's going to feel the same way, keep us separate. So maybe this can be on the board's agenda for September, just to discuss and act, town council communication. I'll give you.
Want them to make a motion to direct you to the draft communication to town council?
Yeah, and directs legal counsel to draft something to the, communication to the town council regarding the board's opinion on a combined review board, and ask staff to put it on this board's agenda for, I think, September.
Does everybody agree, or?
No, I think so. I think it would be useful for us to have some input to this whole process, absolutely. So we can direct our legal counsel to draft something for our consideration for the August or September meeting. September meeting? Is that enough? Everybody, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Any opposed? No? Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Okay, any other business? Nope. Okay, 9:25, motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Excellent.